And I wonder whether that's why British riders have got such a good history, because we session stuff, especially when there were, I'm not sure nowadays it's so relevant, but back in the day when there wasn't this uplifted bike park, all you could do was, let's do this one bit, push back up, try it again. And then you'd see people doing it. So you'd have this like technical model come past you. Right, I'm going to try and do that. Right, he's done that, let's try that. So it's sort of by osmosis, really. You probably don't realise it's happening.
Yeah.
It is mega interesting when you think in the over all of the World Cups, we've had these like dominant figures, and it's like where they actually, you'd think it would just be Whistler, Morzine, you know what I mean? Like where their hometowns are. And instead you've got, you know, like the Athertons from Devon or whatever, and like Bernard at the minute in P6, he's from here, like 30-second hills, Longmoor, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
is that not the nurture as opposed to the nature? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Like that crude.
It's like a wave pool.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's
exactly that. Exactly that.
So, but how weird is that?
But then I don't think it is weird. I think it's perfectly normal, because if you haven't got a lot of mates and you're riding these big gnarly tracks, you're not knowing how to get any better at it.
Yeah.
It's only if you've got the support at those places. These, you know, like Loris and Bruni and Vulio, and I think there's
that's mega interesting. That I know what you're
Adrian Daly. They're all from like a real small region.
It's a bicycle club, isn't it?
Exactly.
I'd love to find out more about it. Warner mentioned it, and I was like, he gave me that list, and I was just like,
it's incredible, isn't it?
And the trails that I rode near there, so bad. I don't understand. There's like zero. Doug, you were there, weren't you? He's asleep.
Stuff is zoned.
Yeah, he's zoned out. But yeah, we were there together. I was just talking about the mountain bike club that Vergier and everyone's from above Nice, and like the trails were tough, weren't they? Yeah,
and
they
the
weren't
secret
like
there is they're
stuff.
what, just riding together all the time, constant analysis.
I guess,
constant trying to beat each other.
It's a perfect example of like nurture over nature, I would say, because the riding just wasn't fun.
Yeah,
it's not. I'm sure there is fun riding there, and I only sampled a tiny bit of it, but it's like, it's not like a big loamy soft hill. That's what I imagine when I think of fun riding.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's where I think there's a generation who've come up with only riding downhill bikes. Like if your first bike is a downhill bike on a downhill track, where there are these big man-made berms with all the support you could ever want, and then a really big jump, you get really good at doing that. You know, you follow people down that, but you turn up at a World Cup and you get to sections and you're like, that is not a manicured berm. That's a gnarly off camber rooty bit. And that's when things shake out. You're like, here we go. And I really hope that downhill can keep that, because these manicured bike parks, I mean, who cares what I think, but I don't think they bring out the best in a rider. You know, the riders can do so much more. When you follow these boys down, like, where were we? Lenzerheide. After practice, we're on the e-bikes and we rode up one of the fire roads, and I was with Danny and his teammate at the time, and he was like, oh, there's a Loma down here, let's go down here. It was unbelievable. I was like, I wish people could see what you've just done here. You know, he'd like hit this off camber and Danny would just clear the entire bank, land in death, and then just go. And there was me like trying to keep both feet on as I was going off cross camber. And I was like, but 20 feet that way, it's just concrete berms. Like, people want to, this is what you want to see.
Yeah, that's what they want to see.
I've got to say, I think it becomes apparent when you see old footage and it just still seems relevant.
Yeah.
It's like you still watch it and you're like, God, that makes me want to, I'm watching Sam Hill ride, I want to go riding
do
now.
That. Yeah, and those bits on the track are still there. They are, you know, it reminds me when we were in Maribor together.
Oh, I wanted to bring it up. That was actually going to be in my intro. I've really lost control of this intro.
Is this still it?
Yeah, let's just say, yeah, it's still an intro. Yeah. That honestly, to this day, that's the best trail I reckon.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it was just the day and how good our day was.
I'm really glad you said that, because that was like an after work ride, basically. We're finished, and then
we heard a rumour.
World Cup.
Yeah, it was at a World Cup, and in Maribor there's accommodation at the bottom of the hill and there's accommodation at the top. And where we were staying at the top, literally you go out the back door and it's just a trail that runs all the way down to the bottom. But there was a good crew of us and the weather was amazing and it was loamy, and like we rode it maybe 3 times or something like that, and each time I was like, Olly's going a bit quicker here. And there was some gaps to be had, and it was just brilliant.
Honestly.
It's that sort of buzz that if you're a professional downhill racer and you have that on the track, how good is the racing going to be?
Are you getting that vibe from racers that you work with that some of the tracks are a bit...
Yeah, I think...
not inspiring?
Yeah, I
thing.
would. And also the volume of training, controversially, I think is too much. I think they get too much time on the track. So the track goes through this sweet spot where they come down, like Andorra would be a really good example. So Andorra, you had G was back. So there was G, Ronan, Charlie and Colby doing freight trains. And they were giggling. I remember being trackside going, this is those boys are having the most fun.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for them all. And they come down and they were laughing, they were joking. And I was like, they now need to go up and have a race run. It just felt like, let's just get racing.
Yeah.
But then if the practice goes on for too long, the track breaks down, the berms go, the ruts go. And it can sometimes get to this point where the track, it's like if you see a motocross track after the final 450 moto, you're like, oh my God, it's got axle deep ruts in it and stuff. So I'm not saying that's all the time. And bear in mind, I'm not the racer. I think the racers have to be given a lot of control over those decisions. I think they're the ones that should be
I've never really thought of it like
canvassed.
that. Like you said, the comparison with moto is over a weekend, even at Hawkstone International or something, they'll go and groom the track. So you almost come back to where you started. But with downhill, it's constantly getting worse over the weekend.
Well, I've talked about it before, my thoughts on it, and I always feel, I'm really glad you said it, because I always feel dodgy like bringing it up, because it's like exactly what you said as well. Who cares what you think? But actually, your thoughts as a fan, and also your thoughts are as a fan, and also someone who's been at all of the races for so long.
Yeah.
And I think actually, I do think that there's not as much in just higher average speed. I think that it's lost something, making everything a bit more...
I agree. Yeah, exactly. And also I like the idea that... So Léger would be a good example of this. So Léger has a really easy first split. There's nothing in the first split. Then the second split is really long. There's loads of corners, loads of line options. And then you've got third split and fourth split. The interesting thing is everything happens in split 2. And so we're all scratching our heads going, where's he made 3 seconds in split 2? Because there's so much of it. And I quite like that. Yeah. I don't want us to be able to go, well, actually, it's because he did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that you can get too in depth with it. And I like the idea that, you know, Greg or Charlie or Ronan or whoever's going, should I go inside or outside? Which is a better line here? I'm still not sure. What's developing? Can you give me a radio up from the bottom and let me know what you think is best? How cool is that?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I think. When I talk smack on modern downhill tracks, it's not that I don't like the super fast motorway sections. I think that's really cool, but I like variants, and I think that's that track that we rode had had bits that you were going so quick, and then you had to check up for bits, slow down, drop into super steep bits, then back into flowy bits, and like that's I think the best. Like the variance is good.
Yeah, it's got everything, and then there'll be one bit where I'd say you would do a gap or something, and I'm like, oh, I don't fancy that. And then you get further away, and then it would slow up, and I'm like, I might be able to catch up with him here. And you'd imagine that from a rider's perspective, I'm not so good at this bit, but I'm better at that bit. I'll roll the dice on this.
Opportunity, not just good at one thing.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
That opportunity, and I think there is the option to design that into the track. I do wonder whether a few years ago, Leogang want the people to turn up to Leogang. That's why they're putting the World Cup on. But maybe they want to be, the guys want to ride the World Cup track.
Yeah.
But honestly, I can't imagine anyone turning up who's not a very high level downhill racer who wants to go and ride that downhill track.
No, I agree. I don't know about that part of the market. I don't really know.
Exactly. I can't, surely you turn up to Leogang because it's got 15 trails. It's got a really nice cafe at the bottom. The uplift's brilliant. It's had a World Cup here. We can check out this section. Yeah. Because you can still check it all out. When you see in Leogang, you've got this really fast straight, and it's like they jump into a berm, and to witness that in person, like, is phenomenal. And to see where you would take off and you would land in this wooden berm.
Not wooden catch, but
that's really cool. But I don't want to try that.
You
know what I mean?
I tell you what, they get me booking a flight if they had loam cannons. like the snow, like the snow ones.
such a
Imagine
good
they had
idea.
loam cannons, dude, and they just restock the forest.
And isn't that
Loam
ironic
cannon.
that you'd have the option if you're more interested to go and ride the Plenty if you hear there's a new single track.
yeah.
Oh, there's this new single track that's just coming out. So
It says something, doesn't it? You're quite right. It does say something because it's not like anyone's like, oh, A-line's been resurfaced quickly.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
No,
Just-
exactly. And then from a coaching point of view, that's why I love the sport, because if you had someone arrive at the lab, say someone comes to university to see me in the lab, and I test their fitness.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what, he could be fitter, or I test their strength, he could be stronger, or he's really good at this. I can help them be better on the bike. I'm not gonna massively change them from being an also-ran to a winner. I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate in that side of what you're doing, you're making these small but serious improvements. But if you had the same person turn up and they said, Alan, I want to be a sprint cyclist on the velodrome, if I didn't see a certain potential, I'd be like, mate, there's no point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we do here. You're not going to be able to do that. You may as well go home.
Yeah.
Hey, man, what an episode that was. You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
I shone like a focused spring deal.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
beautiful
good.
transition.
Right, I've got a question for you, David, to kick this final advert off.
yeah.
What would you do with up to 400 euros
Yeah.
if you got it back when buying a bike?
Ooh, I could stay in the bike shop and spend my 400 euros on accessories.
Good point. Support your local bike shop. Great point.
I could take the 400 euros and go to another shop close by, maybe buy 400 euros of pasta, maybe go to the Euro
Fuels your
store,
ride.
get 400 euros and just, that's Christmas done for eternity. Just
True.
keep handing them out every
Lottery
year.
tickets,
Yeah, beans,
tyres,
a
chamois cream,
new pet.
a new pet, perhaps a water dragon or an iguana. Lovely idea. Well, Focus are actually making that question a reality.
Nice.
Because with the Focus Spring deals, you can grab up to 400 euros back when buying a new bike. If you want to find out more, check out the terms and conditions and all of the details in the link. We're going to put that below, and I'm also going to read it out.
Please.
Okay, you ready for me to read it out?
Yes, I'm
This is old school, innit? Reading out links.
Yeah, anticipation.
I'm going
is
to do
high.
it anyway.
Please do
I'm
it.
doing it.
I want the deal.
ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC.
Ooh, nice. So that is ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC. And let us know in the comments what you would do with 400 euros. Best answer wins a signed ODub hat.
Oh, I like it. Good.
All
I've
right.
got hats. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good
Okay,
for that.
okay.
Hey, can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah,
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love
Yeah.
on your face.
On my face.
Yeah.
So
And
they
on
can't see me now.
Gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.